turquoise mother, and the emerald, and whether it's the Uranus or look at the crown, Shin, the shining ones, anointed ones, the crown, the Messiahs, the kings, Meshach, the priest kings. You know what I'm saying? We see the copper, we see the snake always relevant. Look at that, you know what I'm saying? Look at the land of the north, the hidden land. Moon, when you look at the Draco, right? And the northern skies. You know, this is significance with the northern hemisphere. When you look at Tammuz, the month of Tammuz, in this time of the summer, when the sun gets into this northern tropic, which is known as the Tropic of Cancer, which is significant with the Great Horizon Line, which is the region of where Ghana, Congo. So when we look at the northwest skies, and where there's the Ursa Minor, the Little Dipper, and the Canis Minor Major in these star systems, and in the connection with Anubis, the Dog Star, the Sirius Star, or what have you. When you look at Mexico, and the Milky Way, and the white, the milk, the land of milk and honey, in these different lands, Amaracas, the lands of the heavens. When you look at Ama, mother, and Rakia, the firmament, the heavens, the expanse of heaven, which was also known as the Ark. When you look at the Ark and the expanse in the Milky Way, and the significance of these different lands that you find here in both land masses of America, North and South America. When we look at Amuru, but specifically Peru, talking about these stone stargates and portals and oh, that one don't play that good. No, you can't really see that. Look at First Chronicles. The Book of Chronicles, First Chronicles, the 7th chapter, talks about the sons of Issachar and these valiant men, these warriors, mighty men. When you look at mighty, and one of the first mighty men you'll see in the biblical text is Nimrod, one of the first ones to be noted after the flood. So when you look at the men of Gabar, warriors, and the Temple of the Warriors, and the headdress, the crown, the Messiah, and the helmets. There we go. See that shit. But these star systems, you know what I'm saying, when you look at the Dog Star, the Canis and Canis Minor and Canis Major, and going into the time of the summer and getting ready for the celebrations of the fall and what have you, the 7th month. This is around the time of September, going in from August into September. The significance of these ancient travelers that came from out of these lands. Let's see if we can do it this way. There we go. So when you look at Sudupu, which is also rendered as Septu or Sudupu was a god of the sky of the eastern border regions of ancient Egyptian religion, and he says he was also known as Kinsut's husband, as a sky god. Sudupu was connected with the god Sa. He was personified of the constellation of Orion and the goddess Sudet. When you understand Teotihuacan and how the laying out of the city and Orion's belt is significance into the different ley lines, the Arcadian ley line and other ley lines as well. But and the goddess Sudet represented the star Sirius, according to the pyramid text. Horus, Sudupu's a combination, right? So when we look at Subdu and the different significance of the mighty men that I mentioned earlier in regards to Nimrod and the lands in the text, the different texts, it refers to them as the Almudru and the serpent Sea Lord. So the connection from these different lands east from the bordering, because these regions of the east of Africa. This come out better. You know what I'm saying? These regions where you find the Kadim, Mount Seir, and these regions in Africa are the mouths or the gates to this entire what they call the empire or door to the land of the ancients, the hidden land. So you look at turquoise and emerald, and that's in reference to the mother. When we look at Sudet here and the travelers and coming from the south and the ancient navigations that took place, we're gonna go to this museum, into this actual replica of this temple, and see these ancient Asiatics on in this tomb, and it's in relation to this ancient pre-warrior people from this very region. Let me see here now. So this is why when we look at Teotihuacan and the Great Pyramids, right, and their relations and how they're built on these star systems, you know what I'm saying? Look at the Three Kings and Orion's Belt and Sirius, and we was just looking at what Sudupet and what this is, you know what I'm saying, right here. So when we look at the mighty ones and the mighty warriors, these things are in the heavens, right? So since these things are shown in the heavens, right, they have been teleported, telecommunicated to be numbers and to be data and information that we can calculate today, right? This is how we can, you know what I'm saying, neurons, we can break down these things and different things, right, based on this telecommunication, this information that we have received from the heavens. But when we look at the land masses, locations are important, because locations are significant when it comes to observations. So this is why when we look at the functioning of Hebrews, it was just region beyond traveling, right? We look at Shem, and when the Most High caused the earth to be divided, this is when you start to see nations and nation becoming important. And when we look at Genesis, the 10th chapter, this is the table of nations. So table of nations shows that the sons of Shem, and during the time of Peleg, the earth is divided, and this is where you start to see languages and tongues start to be commonalized, where vernacular and knowing roots and observation become important for communication, because confusion based upon vernacular and separation of lands and regions and borders designated by men's seeds, children. So when we look at land of milk and honey, and the land given, right, as a promise to these sons from the original heavens, you get what I'm saying, to be telecommunicated into a landmass on earth that would be perpetually given as an inheritance to a designated seed of people for ever. And so, while wars, different things exist to this day, still to this day, you know, we strive for a land. We strive for a land of the milk and honey that you don't have to labor to dwell in. So when we look at this land's First Chronicles, the 7th chapter, and it talks about the sons of Issachar, and when you look at let's see here, the serpent colonists of South America. When you look at Arumumudu, that was that portal that I showed you earlier. You know what I'm saying? I can't read that; it's too small. But this is what this is. This portal. So look at these portals and things, and these being able, abilities to travel, receive data, information through the horizon, through observation of the sun's navigation through the earth and ending. And these lands were essential because it established a culture or a tradition to develop a seasonal culture, a monthly, daily culture that would allow for man to perpetuate life through the different hazardous times. The teachings of death, right, gave an understanding of the winter and preparation in the afterlife and the times of the spring. These things were essential not just to the religious, spiritual man, but also to the civical needs of the community. So the community would be ran upon these same civics, these same orders of the heavens and functions. So that way, in season and due season, everything would be according to number. Ezekiel 23 is written from a message delivered by God to Ezekiel. It presents an extended metaphor in which Samaria and Jerusalem are compared to sisters named Aloha and Olihabah, Jerusalem, who are the wives of God accused of playing the whore. So this is essential when you look at the two lands and looking at Sudupu and the eastern border, what I was showing earlier, of the star system in Sod, Sirius, is, when we look at even in the biblical text, when it refers to these different two lands, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, Samaria and Jerusalem, you see here that there's a separation, or there's a reference to two separate. You know what I'm saying? The two ladies, two wives, Leah, Rachel, you know, and North America, South America, and how these comparisons, you know, develop, you know, with different things. But when you look at the landmass, is really only two land masses, you know. So you have Africa, Asia, and West Europe, pretty much all one landmass, pretty much. And you have North and South America, you know what I'm saying, with, you know, also you got Australia and different islands, you know what I'm saying, in Europe and around the Arctic as well. But, you know what I'm saying, there's really pretty much just two land masses. So that's, when we look at Samaria and Shem, and the hemisphere, and Samaron, and these names, these titles, and there's connections with these things here in the Americas. When we look at the first city, right, built by Cain, in the land of Cain, and where is the land of Canaan? And this land has been many debated. When you look at the city of and the copper and these different things mined here in these mound regions in the Americas is so prehistoric that you would conclude, based on travel of the sun, based on time itself, time, space, and matter, all. When we look at this great horizon line that comes between what we know as Ghana,
wind package, nights, and
right
seasons.
here. And
This is why equatorial regions experience almost year-round summer and heat, while higher latitudes north and especially south experience more distinct seasons with harsh winters.
So as you see where Ghana is, where the Congo,
Horizon where
when you understand the summer, the Tamu,
Congo, when you understand the Congo and the Cancer, the tropical Cancer,
that's where that region is, where you see that racetrack. Now when you see that racetrack, when you look at Hill Akibalan, and the name for Africa, Akibalan, it refers to it as Hill.
Universal time. Now this prime meridian wind patterns.
So when you look at the Hill,
This is why equatorial regions
and the term Akibu,
while higher latitudes north and especially south experience more distinct seasons.
when you see the sun going in this racetrack, going from tropic to tropic, you see there. So when you look at the Great Horizon Line and what we're looking at of Cancer, the Congo, Ghana, and this region, Africa, when you see 0 to 6 degrees below the horizon, when the sun is beyond that point, this is when the civil twilight, right? So this is usually you'll see this in the sunrise, right? You'll be seeing this last, right? In the sun setting, this happens first. You have this civil twilight, then you have the nautical, then you have the astronomical. In the rising, you have astronomical, the nautical, and then you have the sun rising after the civil twilight. So you gotta understand the region why they call it the Gold Coast. So when you look at milk and honey in the Gold Coast and Mexico and the Milky Way in this land from 90 degrees west to 120 degrees west, and a long 100, the Great 100, a long 100, 120 degrees. And while, you know what I'm saying, people say they got a foot long, you know what I'm saying, a peg leg. And the borders for the Trinity Dynasty, it went from 120 degrees west to 120 degrees east. In the Triangle region from 0 degrees of Ghana, West Africa, which is the central, is like a central location. If you see the triangle I'm referring to.
The twilight, so when the civic, which is a measure between 0 degrees to 6, the nautical 6 to 12,
triangle,
and the astronomical 12
and beyond up into 18 across the
So when we look at these
Pacific.
different measures of the twilights of the horizons play a significance. The Eastern Hemisphere's horizon in the region of Ghana, where you see the solar and the lemma. And when we look at the counting and the calculating of time between these two horizons, the New World, where Ghana, where the month of Tammuz, the time of the Tropic of Cancer, to the time of the ending of Sagittarius, the winter solstice, the Tropic of Capricorn. These measures, when we understand the East, the forefront, from where the sun crosses between whirlwind, just blinded across this whirlwind. America has been like a safe haven, a refuge, a land of refuge, a land of freedom, of liberty, right? Historically, throughout prehistoric times and pre-Diluvian times. So there is some recording to show proof that maize existed.
So you look right here at a Kiba line.
Egypt. But the problem
It
is,
says
why
a
they don't want you to
hill.
understand that is that will
It's a
connect you-
track, a rear of an army, like a hill or a horse. So
Days, nights, and seasons. This is why
understand when you look at
experience
Africa
almost year-round
and
summer
why
and heat,
the hill,
while higher
why it
latitudes
refers
north
to it
and
as
especially
like a
south
racetrack.
experience more distinct seasons with harsh winters.